Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Rakha, Chodash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. Double honors to my elder, Aharawan Banyasharal of the Limestone Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. Salutations to the Sensei Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Kharab Banyasharala, coming out of the Limestone Camp of Yasharala, located here in Jacksonville, Florida. Now today I'll be coming out with a lesson. And it was inspired by a lesson that the Bishop Kanak of this camp, the Lions Den camp, did about how these other nations, well, not the other nations, I would say, well, these Western powers have given, we'll say, their proxy nation that they're using to combat against, we'll say, the Russian Federation or the Russian Army or Russia, whatever they want to say it, however it's called, to use weapons to strike Russia. Now, it has been said in numerous articles, that Russia said if there is any intervention of any sort by the West and NATO, that there would be consequences. Now, for some reason, how Esau does, he thinks that people are playing. You do that Psalms chapter 10, he puffing at his enemies. Like thinking they ain't gonna do nothing, trying to provoke, but somehow be hands off too. It's like it's like a weird energy that they trying to move in to try to provoke Russia into doing something so they can say, oh, now we can do it now. And it's like, it's obvious. It's very obvious and it's very clear, and Russia, their leader sees this. So it's really the Western powers that are stoking and provoking war, along with NATO, trying to get Russia to act first. But again, it has been said by Russia not to intervene, and yet here you go. Here Esau goes. Well, of course, Russia is also Edom, part of Edom as well. So, every world war that's been happening, it's been Edomites fighting each other. And it ain't no different from now. This third world war that's coming, it's Edomites fighting each other. It's just the exception now is other nations have gotten into the mix, but mainly it's Edom. So I'm gonna read a majority of this article, and bring out a few scriptures because, the Bishop Kanakavu's camp, he pretty much covered it. This is just more of a follow-up, but without further ado, let's get right into it. It says, anger in Moscow after Ukraine allowed Russia, anger in Moscow after Ukraine allowed to hit Russia with Western weapons. And that's the West intervening after the leader of Russia was like, don't intervene. Trying to have plausible deniability, but on the backhand side of it, provoking war, provoking a response. But like the bishop was saying, you finna wake up a hibernating bear, and it's not rocket science to know to leave a hibernating bear alone, because that bear can wake up at any time and tear up whoever and whatever it is in its territory, and then go back to sleep. Like it is not like nothing. But let's continue though. It says Russia has accused NATO and the U.S. of provoking a new level of tension, which is true. After the U.S. and Germany became the latest allies to let Ukraine's military use Western supplied weapons to strike targets inside Russia. It says, a Berlin spokesperson said Germany was convinced Ukraine had the right to defend itself from Russia, especially from cross-border attacks on its second largest city Kharkiv. Now, when you look at it, this whole thing happening, what it is, 2024, 2 years ago or whatever, when however long they say this supposed war has been going on. When you look at it, Russia was provoked in self-defense. Because why? The Western powers using Ukraine as a proxy to fight. But let's continue. But here it's saying that a spokesperson from Germany, I guess, is convinced that Ukraine has the right to defend itself from Russia. Well, Ukraine wouldn't have to do it if the Western powers and its allies wouldn't have been over there with the tomfoolery to begin with. But let's continue. It says U.S. officials said American supplied weapons could be used to counter Russian fire near the Kharkiv region, either where Russian forces were hitting them or preparing to hit them. See, and it's like, it's weird. You can really, I ain't gonna say it's weird. It's just real funny. It's like these Babylonian Edomites over here. The power structure is trying to start something, but not be the face of the one who started something. It's crazy, man. It's like the normal tricks that the border of wickedness use in the earth is just not working. But the Lord got something for him according to the scriptures. When he put those hooks back in Russia's jaws and turned them back. But let's continue. It says U.S. officials said American supplied weapons could be used to counter Russian fire near the Kharkiv region, either where Russian forces were hitting them or preparing to hit them. Ukraine's president, Vladimir Zelensky, said the decision would help protect civilians living in villages close to the Russian border. But the truth is that Russia is not attacking civilians. Like they're trying to paint the narrative. Let's continue. And it says Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said NATO countries, especially the U.S. and several European countries, had entered a new round of escalating tensions, and they are doing this deliberately. See, it's plain to see. It says in remarks quoted by the TASS news agency. So that, I mean, and it's clear. It is very clear that that's exactly what's going on. But let's continue. It says they are in every possible way provoking Ukraine to continue this senseless war. And they're just using Ukraine to continue. They ain't provoking because Ukrainians, they don't want to fight. They really don't. Zelensky don't want that. He don't want no more. He don't want no more. He don't even want to deal no more. He really don't. That's why he was trying to join NATO, because if that would have happened, that would have caused a big skirmish. And see, they was avoiding that. But let's continue. It says Russian forces have made gains in the Kharkiv region in recent weeks after a surprise offensive in the area. So that was a preemptive attack. They weren't looking for it. Close to the border with Russia, the UK and France had already signaled that they were open to easing restrictions on Ukraine striking military sites on Russian territory before U.S. President Joe Biden said on Thursday night that American supplied weapons could be used. However, a U.S. political officer, like a U.S. official, told BBC, our policy with respect to prohibiting the use of Army tactical systems, I guess as, however you say that shit, but or long-range strikes inside of Russia has not changed. So it's like it's like America's trying to authorize the use of its weapons, but not nothing that's going to really strike deep into the Russian territory that's going to cause a real response. Because, see, America is trying to provoke but not be guilty of the one provoking, America and NATO. But let's continue. But the gig is up. It's out. People that's paying attention, especially those of Yahweh Hashem Yahshua that had the spirit, that know what's going on, can see that that's what is going on. But let's continue. It says German government spokesman Stefan, Hebestreet, said on Friday that Berlin was jointly convinced that Ukraine had the right to defend itself from a Russian attack, and it ain't really Russia ain't really attacking. It is struck strategic places, but it ain't really just like running over and destroying Ukraine. Why? Because it's part of the USSR, and that's what Russia is trying to gain back. It's trying to annex it to get it back. It's not trying to destroy it. And it's trying to, and the powers that be is trying to provoke Russia to destroy it, so it can use that as a guise and a cover to war, blah 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 blah. You know how these crackers do, Salaki. I mean these heathens, these Edomite heathens do. Let's continue. It says to do this, it can also use the weapons supplied for this purpose in accordance with its international legal obligations, including those supplied by the U.S. He said. Germany has not yet given Ukraine its powerful Taurus missiles, whereas the UK has provided Storm Shadow missiles, and France has handed over its Scalp cruise missiles. I'm pretty sure those are probably short-range missiles. They're not long-range, but let's continue. It says Russia claimed on Friday that it had pushed Ukrainian forces back up to 9 kilometers, which is 6 miles from the border in the Kharkiv region, adding that it now controls hills near the village of Lipsy. Kharkiv is little more than 30 kilometers from the Russian border, so it's not that far. They got a little diagram right here, Let's continue. It says U.S. Secretary of State Blinken reported his message from earlier, so like he repeated his message from earlier this week, that the U.S. would continue doing what it has done until now, which is as necessary, adapt, and adjust, which is translation, which is try and provoke a response, but not be guilty of the one provoking it, or not being seen on the world stage as the one who started the upcoming skirmish that we are now seeing, that is going to happen anyway, because thus saith Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. But let's continue. It says he was speaking to the reporters at a meeting of NATO foreign ministers in Prague, where the alliance's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg welcomed the decision to ease restrictions on Ukraine's use of weapons. It says questions have also been raised by NATO allies about the possibility of U.S.-made F-16 warplanes being deployed across the Russian border. Another provocation, just like over there in the Taiwanese Strait. It says Ukrainian pilots have been training on F-16s in recent months, and the first planes are expected to reach Ukraine this summer. It says Denmark's defense minister, Troels Lund Poulsen, has said that its F-16s could be used to target weapon depots in Russia, which he describes as legitimate targets, which is really not going to work. That's really the truth. It's not going to work. It's really not going to work, because the Lord has already set up Putin to be the guard, to be the bear for these other nations. So he's going to be enough to repel and also to destroy threats. It says Denmark is due to hand over its 19 F-16s to Ukraine over the summer, and Foreign Minister Lars Loki, however you say that, Rasmussen, made it clear. I'm gonna kind of just skim through the rest. F-16s to make arbitrary attacks on Russia is exactly what it is. You can't trust Esau for nothing in the world. On Friday, Prime Minister met, Frederiksen, Esau, these weird names, refused to confirm that the Danish F-16s could be used over Russian territory. She said the planes were very close to flying over Ukraine, but were not going into any further detail. She trying to avoid war, whoever that is. The Netherlands avoided, making any clear decisions on their F-16s. You know, the foreign minister, or that Hank Bruins, you know, merely confirmed that the Dutch government would allow Ukraine to use their weapons on Russia. You know, so if it's in full self-defense. So there you go. You got these other nations. They're like, oh yeah, you can, but this right here and this right here, because they already know, because they know that Russia ain't playing. The only one that think Russia is playing is Babylon, America, and NATO. Belgium's Alexander De Croo, he ruled out ruled out allowing Ukraine to use its F-16s to come against Russia when he met Zelensky this week. He said with a Mr. De Croo meeting, since the president at the White House Friday. So he like, hey man, look here, I ain't got time. And they said Russian officials have made clear their anger at the prospect of F-16s being used over their territory. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the F-16s would be destroyed just like anything else supplied by NATO, and would not change the situation at all. And that's true. I believe that's going. That's true. That make more sense. It says, however, the F-16s, as F-16s had long been used in NATO's so-called joint nuclear missions, he warned that supplying them to Kiev could only be seen as a deliberate signal from NATO concerning nuclear weapons. And he just said that. Putin said that about 2-3 articles ago, and a few interviews. Like, if you come up with the tomfoolery, I'm gonna do something to you. I'm gonna use my nukes. That's why you got them. But hey, they still think that Russia is playing. So I'm gonna just read a few scriptures. It says, this is Ezekiel 38:4, verse 4. It says, and I will turn back. It's like, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So the Lord is gonna. They keep poking the bell. Once the Lord let that bell, i.e. Russia, wake up out of hibernation, the Lord says He's gonna put hooks. He's gonna turn them back to that no holds barred, not playing with you USSR. The one that they were scared of before. The bear went into hibernation in the 90s. They did whatever they did, so they went, basically they looked at, oh, Russia ain't a threat no more, but they were still trying to surround Russia. But now Russia, you messing with them, so now Russia like, going on about your business. You're going to wake up the bear. You're going to wake up the sleeping giant. And once that happens, guess what? Ain't no putting him back to sleep. Because once that happened, when the Lord allowed Russia to fully go back to how they used to be, the Western powers and NATO ain't going to be able to do sugar and iced tea about it. But let's continue. I'm going to jump over to verse 10 of Ezekiel 38. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. So it's going to come a point, it's going to come to pass where Russia's going to think an evil thought. Meaning Russia, the Lord's going to put the spirit on Russia to like, you know what? I'm finna use this force. I'm finna use my power. I'm finna use my strength. And guess where he's going to come up against? He's going to come up against what? This place right here, Babylon, America. Verse 11, my last point. It says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, because this place is the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest. A lot of people here are at rest. They think ain't nothing finna happen. They think that Babylon, America can't be taken down. And they think they good. But it says, but continuing, it says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gate. So it's going to come a point where the Lord is going to let that spirit going on overtake Putin, and he going to go to get in the business. And guess what he going to come to? He going to come up against Babylon, America, because this is the place of the unwalled villages. This is the place where people are at rest and thinking that they dwell safely. They are dwelling without walls, i.e. no defense, no brigandines, no armies to protect this place from being spoiled and or attacked and destroyed or being made desolate. This place has bars, neither gates, meaning no protection. So it's going to come a point where this place will be judged and destroyed by Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, and the Lord is going to use Russia and the other nations that have allied themselves with Russia to destroy this place. And with that, Shalom.